Okay, so let's talk about Matt Stafford. Let's talk about the Rams offense. What's going wrong? Are they dead? Are the Rams a horrible team, or has this just been a rough patch these past 3 weeks? Let's look at just the box score numbers for a second. The first 8 weeks, he had a passer rating of over 100 in 6 of them. Another one, he had a passer rating of 97.2, and then the other one was a loss to Arizona where, didn't have his best game there, but wasn't horrible either. The past 3 weeks, his passer rating is 71.0, 67.4, and then last week against the Packers, his numbers were actually pretty good. Passer rating up to 96.6. The tape, nowhere near that good. That's what we have to talk about, really. I mean, this has been it was a tough watch, quite frankly, watching the tape. It's not just on Stafford, but it's a lot on Stafford, so let's get into it. So there's this play where what's going to happen here is Stafford's going to, have just a check down route, but he just throws it behind Odell right there, isn't able to hit him. You also have something like this where he's going to run a play action. He actually does have an opening, although it's, not wide open, just underthrows it. That's not great. We're now going to go over here. Just figure I'm going to throw in just the occasional, just a play here, a play there, and then get into kind of more of a breakdown about certain plays. So this is going to be more of a breakdown type play. This is the weird one where what's going to happen is the concept itself is pretty simple that Stafford is looking at. It's against zone coverage, and you have multiple players who are going to be running deep down the field with a third who then kind of runs underneath past the first down marker. You hit him because, Green Bay players are going to be going further deep as those are the first 2 receivers, and that's what they're doing. Once this play begins, you see Stafford look there and gets off the read. He starts looking basically directly over the middle of the field before you could really tell if that was going to be open or not. And that is going to get open. I don't know why Stafford looked there to begin with if he was going to get off it that quickly. You could have just looked at the, towards your right where there would have been a quicker throw to make. Or, just stay to your left and make that throw. Just kind of an odd decision by Stafford. And in fairness, I'm not sure if it would have mattered. Rashawn Gary is going to knock the ball out. Great job by him. I'm not sure if Stafford was looking in the perfect direction, if he probably still fumbles it, quite frankly. So it's hard to put too much blame on him for the entire fumble, but just in terms of that was just an odd read by him. I don't know why he got off that first read as quickly as he did. You also have stuff like this where it's going to be, again, Odell over the middle who's open and Stafford's throw is just behind. That one could have been intercepted, quite frankly. This one is another example where Stafford's going to scramble a little bit. He has Cooper Kupp. That could have been a touchdown. There's a flag. It wouldn't have mattered, but still, he missed that throw. This one, not his fault. This is the Rams leaving yards on the board just with a straight-up drop right there. Let's now go over to this one. I mean, honestly, this is what the Rams really struggled with. They left yards on the table is the best way to say it. This is going to be zone coverage, and they have a cover 3 zone beater to beat this cover 3 zone. So this is a good matchup for the Rams. The way this play works is the receiver who you have lined up on the top of the screen is going to run a go route. This is going to get the cornerback who's Eric Stokes on this play, get him further deep. You have safety help over the top, but it's really designed to get the corner away. And then what you do is, since you're running a play action, the Green Bay player who's in charge of covering the flat is going to be focused a little bit more on that. Not to mention Cooper Kupp is in motion on that side of the field. So you're kind of stretching both of those two out. And then when a tight end runs in between those two areas, he can get open. And look, Stafford's going to take the snap. He runs the play action. This does get open, and Stafford just underthrows it a bit. Also could have been caught. Little things like that were really what sunk the Rams. They kept getting in their own way. They just kept making these slight little mistakes. Some of them were good defense. I'm not denying that the Packers played good defense, but there was a huge element of the Rams beating themselves on these plays. Something like this is kind of almost looks like more of a miscommunication thing with Odell, where you see Odell kind of stumbles. That one probably should have been intercepted, quite frankly, got away with one. You see a play like this, where again, Stafford's going to take the shot deep, and it looks like Odell didn't know exactly when to stop. Another miscommunication that they need to clean up. Now, you also have this one, where it's going to be that, again, probably should have been intercepted, just need to get it there quicker. And going to the one that actually ended up being an interception, what's going to happen here is it's a pretty simple idea. It's kind of similar to that last play, though. It's a zone coverage play. It's cover 2 zone. You have multiple receivers who are running deeper routes. So again, you're getting the Green Bay Packers to kind of be pushed back a little bit. You then hit an underneath route, gain some yards. This is kind of what you have to do against Green Bay. And you could argue this is part of what Green Bay is forcing the Rams to do, is they're forcing the Rams to just run a lot of plays. And in doing that, you're going to make some mistakes. But obviously, the amount of mistakes they're making is just way too high. Because watch what's going to happen on this play. So Stafford takes the snap right here, and you're going to see that Cooper Kupp is open in the flat, but he's also not wide open, and you have to get it there quickly. That's really what you have to have happen, because Rasul Douglas is seeing this, and watch what happens. Stafford hesitates a little bit. There's also a little bit of contact, and Douglas just, quite frankly, beat Kupp to that spot, and that's what you don't want to have happen. So maybe Kupp could have ran in a little bit more, but really, I mean, Stafford, you just got to get the ball out quicker. I do think that Stafford has to pay more attention in those situations. Not to mention, there were, other checkdowns that were just wide open, so he didn't have to throw it there if he didn't want to. There's no denying it. That's a bad play. And while you could simply say, well, this is one bad interception, and as a whole, what about if that doesn't happen? It's a much closer game. But there were a couple of dropped interceptions in this one as well. So just a tough spot there for Stafford and the Rams offense. So yeah, that's what's fascinating about Stafford and about this Rams team, really, is how good is Matt Stafford? I think is a fair question. And some people are going to say, well, so he missed some throws these past couple of weeks. Currently the past 3 weeks, he's thrown 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. You'd like to see that get cleaned up. But the hope is that, okay, well, he'll revert to the Stafford we had seen in previous weeks. And that may be true. But I would also like to mention that he was missing throws in those games as well, although just not as many, and the offense as a whole was working a lot better. So that's, I think, the more interesting thing is, will this offense just sort of start to clean up a little bit on all the little things, and then Stafford can start just playing better football. He might not ever really be a legit MVP candidate. That was, he was kind of MVP candidate, but it was more of there's not really a clear favorite for a while. Now there really isn't a clear favorite, but I do think Stafford's, I think that this is more of an anomaly. An anomaly from Stafford this past week than it is him actually just like sucking now. That's kind of what I think about it. But also it is probably fair to say that he'll probably get better. He's always just been a streaky player. So maybe that's concerning, is can he play 4 great games in a row in the postseason? Maybe. But I also think their defense is better than maybe the numbers have shown so far. So I think that can improve as well. So that's kind of the hope. I mean, again, Stafford's had 3 bad weeks. Well, before that, he had a great week against Houston. Sure, it was Houston, but he had a great week. He's had some very good games. He did great against Detroit. Obviously, those first 3 weeks against Indianapolis, Chicago, and Tampa Bay. So he's had some awesome games. The question is just, how big of a deal is it? I think concerning, disappointing, not devastating. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.